It's now time for Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. It began as a podcast, went live on the net, and transformed into a full-blown empire. It's the only daily boxing talk show on the planet, hosted by the only guy with the balls to do it. Many have stepped into the ring. Many have tried to take the belt. And one by one, they've fallen. Another victim of the undisputed heavyweight champion of boxing talk radio. Talkin' Boxing with Billy C is on now.
My style is impetuous, my defense is impregnable, and I'm just ferocious. I want your heart.
And we're coming to you live from the Billy C studios. There's actually one. In Lake George, New York, I'm Bill Calogero, and it's time for the Billy C Show. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whenever you're watching or listening. I hope you're doing all right. I want to give a special shout-out to all of our viewers on Fight TV. And if you don't have our app, if you haven't downloaded the app yet from Fight TV, just do it right now. Go to Fight, that's F-I-T-E. I know I can't spell, but just go to Fight, FITE.TV/Billy C, and download our app today. That's fight.tv/Billy C. Today's show is being brought to us in part by Sal's Neighborhood Pizzeria and Italian Restaurant located in beautiful St. Simons Island, Georgia. Check out the website, www.salsneighborhoodpizzeria.com, or give my man a call, 912-268-2328, 912-268-2328. And a special shout out to all of our WGIG listeners in Brunswick, Georgia. If you haven't stopped by Sal's Place on Frederica Drive over in St. Simons Island, well, what are you waiting for? The best pizza on the planet is there, and it's right around the corner. Visit the website for directions or give them a call today. www.salsneighborhoodpizzeria.com or 912-268-2328. Today's show is also being brought to us in part by Gawk Box. What is it? Well, I'll tell you what it is. You can help yourself out, and you can help our show out. Visit our website, BillyCBoxing.com, and click on the Gawk Box banner, which is on the left-hand side, and learn about what we're talking about. And today's show is also being brought to us in part by the Title Bout Championship computer game. Check it out. Download a copy today. We use it for our Blast from the Past. And speaking of which, today's Blast from the Past features, as request, former world champion and boxing Hall of Famer Kid Berg. If you must know his nickname, it's Jackie. Well, that's his real name. Jackie, his nickname. Kid, his last name. Berg, Jackie Kid Berg. All in one, all together, boys and girls. Jackie Kid Berg is our blast from the past today. So check out the title bout. And today's show is being brought to us in part by my book, Tom Molyneux, From Bondage to Baddest Man on the Planet, is available right now where all great books are sold. You can get a copy literally while you're watching this show. Just visit BarnesandNoble.com or Amazon.com. If you're looking to get a signed copy, don't worry about it. I'll hook you up. Visit our website, BillyCBoxing.com, and click on the book club section. Now that's all out of the way. We got Larry Hazard, Boxing Hall of Famer and New Jersey Boxing Commissioner, scheduled to join us a little bit later. Like I said, our blast from the past, Jackie Kid Berg. Alex Perpali will join us and tell us all about the kid. Today, I got several things on tap that I'd like to talk about. We got a bunch of emails to read. But first, there's a lot of talk about the possible matchup between Vasyl Lomachenko, who we just saw put on a superb performance last weekend against Jason Sosha, and is quickly cementing his position as the number one pound-for-pound fighter in the world today. And Mikey Garcia, also one of my favorites. Obviously, Lomachenko would have to move up to fight him, but a lot of people are talking about that fight and the potential of that fight. My question today is, Who do you think would win? What do you think about that fight? Is it a fight that you want to see? Is it a fight that you feel Lomachenko has the edge? Is the bigger and let's not diminish Mikey Garcia's skills because he's a top fighter in himself. Would the bigger, skilled fighter in Mikey Garcia have the edge over Lomachenko? I don't know. I'm going to give you my thoughts, but first, joining me right now from beautiful St. Simons Island, Georgia. He's a New Jersey Boxing Hall of Famer. He's a Guinness Book of World Record holder, and he's a pretty damn good restaurateur. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children's of all ages, please welcome the one, the only, Sal Rocky Senecola. Good morning, Sal.
Good morning, Billy. How are you today?
Oh, I'm not doing too bad, man. I'm not doing too bad. Weather's changed for the good here in the North Country, or, well, northern New York anyway. But
yes.
Mikey Garcia against Vasyl Lomachenko. It's a fight that they kind of talked about last week when the fight was live, and it's picking up some steam. Have you had a chance to give that fight any thought, Sal?
I will right now. I'll tell you what. Mikey Garcia is a good fighter. He's a dangerous fighter. And he does have a good command of the ring. He's got some good pop to his punch, and it would be a tough fight. I still think, even though he may be the bigger guy, I still think Lomachenko will find a way to win. And we could see that. Hopefully, maybe it'll come true. I don't know. What's your thoughts on it? I think it'd be a hell of a fight, though.
Well, to be honest with you, I personally loved the fight. Lomachenko, I said this on the last show that, it's funny how fans today immediately, a fighter does well and they immediately want him to move up. Now, in Lomachenko's case, he's already moved up. And it seems like the other fighters in his division, at least the belt holders, are, not too keen on getting in the ring with him. And it's almost like he's being forced to move up. But with that said, Lomachenko is he's just a phenom. I mean, this is a guy that is a pleasure to watch in the ring. What I like about him is he's truly, in my opinion, Sal, the true definition of the sweet science. I mean, he does it all. But the most important thing, in my opinion, is he's entertaining, and he's not afraid to engage. With that said, Mikey Garcia, I've always looked at him as a bring-your-lunch pail, blue-collar fighter. I mean, this is a guy that very rarely gets rocked in terms of mental or physical. This is a guy that comes to the ring, goes to his workouts, and he takes his boxing as an old throwback trade, which I love. He's a guy that kind of does everything well. I would love to see the matchup. I think it would be a classic between two technically sound fighters. I do believe Lomachenko has the hand speed. It would just be interesting to see how he can handle the size difference. Mikey Garcia is a power puncher, and if he can connect, I think for the first time we would get a good chance to evaluate and see Lomachenko's chin. I think the main question here, Sal, would be this. Can Lomachenko hurt Mikey Garcia? Because I think at the end of the day, that's going to be the difference. Because if he can't hurt him, then Mikey Garcia won't respect him and come plodding forward. What do you think?
Yeah, I think you just gave a great analogy, and that's exactly what can happen. Let me ask you this. In a throwback, do you see any two fighters from the past that this would mimic or this would look like, whether it be a Duran versus Esteban de Jesus or something like that? Is there another fight that we could look at from the past that this could be closely tied to?
Wow. Good question. Good question throwing me on
Sorry.
my fanny.
I see Mikey Garcia as the plodding good puncher who's got boxing skills. I don't want to say he's in a class of Duran, but I do see a good contest, and I'm just trying to see what fight from the past might this resemble if they ever did get in a ring together.
I don't know. That's a tough one because a lot of fighters. I mean, it's hard to. I think both of these guys are pretty unique, to be honest with you.
They are.
No disrespect to all my all-time great favorite fighters of the years gone by, but Mikey Garcia, he's so technically sound. His defense is solid. He's got punching power. He doesn't seem to get hurt. And Lomachenko's got that footwork, and you could almost say that he's a more exciting and powerful version of even in recent times Floyd Mayweather. The difference between those two would simply be the fact that Lomachenko is more willing to engage, plus he's always in position to inflict damage on his opponent. That's a tough question, Sal. Maybe, believe it or not, maybe something along the lines of and I know that people are going to, laugh at me at first, but think it through. Maybe Sugar Ray Leonard against Tommy Hearns, or maybe even, and I say that because both had boxing skill. So does Lomachenko and Garcia. Tommy Hearns had more power and was bigger than Sugar Ray Leonard, similar to Mikey Garcia. I think Mikey Garcia is a little more technically sound than Tommy Hearns was. But ring generalship, I think, and movement, footwork, with Sugar Ray Leonard is similar to Lomachenko. I don't know. That's the first, for some reason, that matchup pops in my head, Sal.
I'll tell you. Well, what we're getting to is to see that was a great fight. All three of them were great fights on some level, but I think that's as close of an analogy that I could think of as well. So I concur with your thoughts there.
Coach,
so I think if it does come, go.
Coach in the chat room says Leonard Duran. He thinks Leonard Duran are similar to those two, like you were saying a few minutes ago.
Well, I see a little bit of, don't forget Duran as a lightweight. I will always debate and go to bat. I think Roberto Duran as a lightweight was a complete fighter and was probably one of the greatest lightweights at 135 pounds to ever step in the ring. He had it all at 135 pounds. Power, speed. He knew how to avoid punches, and he could box as well. I thought he was just a brilliant fighter at 135 pounds. Roberto Duran, my all-time favorite lightweight.
I agree. I think he was very among the top three, and now Coach is saying yes. Hearns more mirrors Garcia than Duran. I spoke too soon. Yeah, giving Coach accolades.
Way to go, Coach.
Giving him accolades.
Well, I was looking for that.
Hey, listen,
Thank you.
Sal, hold that thought. I got another one. I got some emails to read. We got Larry Hazard coming up. We got Alex Papali. Then we'll throw you back on. But first, we got to take a break, my man. So we'll be back in 2.
The Billy C. Morning Show will be right back.
Have you heard? Proactive Plus is faster and better than ever. Stay tuned for a $1 million bottle giveaway, and you'll also receive free shipping. Do you have troubled skin? Acne? Well, we have great news. With Proactive Plus, your acne can heal, and you can help prevent new breakouts from happening. Don't miss this limited time offer. Give us a call at 800-567-0214 because we're going to let 1 million people try Proactive Plus risk-free and get 2 free gifts and also receive free shipping when you call right now. You heard it. This offer won't last long. So call Proactive Plus now and you'll receive a 60-day risk-free trial of Proactive Plus, 2 free extras, and free shipping. Call 800-567-0214. This is our exclusive radio offer, never on TV. Get your risk-free 60-day trial of Proactive Plus with free shipping. That's right, free shipping. Don't wait. Call 800-567-0214. That's 800-567-0214.
Check out BillyCBoxing.com now, or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Oh, that hurts. Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you.
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning.
Now, back to the Billy C. Morning Show. Interact with the show at BillyCBoxing.com.
And we're back. You're listening to the Billy C. Show. Don't forget about Gawkbox. What is it? Check it out. Visit our website, www.billycboxing.com, and click on the Gawkbox banner. It helps you. It helps us. What's better than that? Joining me is my man Sal Rocky Senecola. And Sal, I got another question to ask you real quick before we read some emails. In addition to that potential fight that we were just talking about, and by the way, if you have some thoughts and opinions on the fight that we were just talking about, give us an email. Drop me an email, Billy@TalkinBoxing. That's TalkinBoxing.com. Mikey Garcia against Vasyl Lomachenko. What do you think? Drop me an email. But anyway, Sal, there's another one that's in the works, and thanks to Jerry Springer. I'm sorry, not Jerry Springer. Similar to Jerry Springer, like TMZ,
wow, that's wrong.
and some of the BS that goes on. Gervonta Davis and Adrian Broner have been exchanging some unpleasantries in the media. What's your thoughts on the possible matchup between Adrian Broner and Gervonta Davis?
Well, that would be a good match. It really would be. Adrian Broner, he's got some good skill, and he's definitely been around the block once or twice. And I probably like to see that fight, but I think Gervonta Davis would have a good shot at winning that fight. I'm not sure, Adrian Broner, how much more in the tank he's got. There's always something that comes up in his head one way or the other going into a fight. But we'll see. It could be a very good fight. I'm still excited about the one you said earlier, about Lomachenko and Mikey Garcia. In fact, you know what? With that fight, I'm looking at some notes. I mean, just to mention that fight, we brought up in a little conversation some of the four top fighters of that generation, that era in the 80s. You brought up Duran, Hearns, Hagler, and Leonard. I mean, what top fighters in that era can you actually bring up other than those, the cream of the crop, the once in a special lifetime? And here we are rebooting it, and we see some special fighters in Mikey Garcia and Lomachenko. So I'm glad to see that. But
that whole era was just chock full. I mean, those are the main ones.
Just phenomenal.
As far as Davis against Broner, first of all, Davis has busted onto the scene pretty quickly. I think he's a victim of believing his own press clippings and listening to all the you bet, all of that stuff in his ear. But with that said, I mean, Broner, you never know what we're going to get with Adrian Broner. But listen, hey, that wouldn't be a bad matchup, and it would be a good opportunity for Broner to get himself back in position. The problem is that, all of the persona that seems to be, taken over Gervonta Davis, thanks to Floyd Mayweather, and what had already consumed and taken over Adrian Broner, thanks to Floyd Mayweather, and caused that little connection to split and go down different paths. It's all smokescreen. It's similar to Floyd's career. Yes, don't get me wrong. Floyd is a Hall of Famer and all that stuff. But he has successfully been able to, say, when it's raining, say it's sunny out, and people believe him. No discredit to him in a sense. I wish he would have fought the right fights at the right time. I personally don't think that we've ever seen the best Floyd Mayweather, and we never will. So I think that his success basically is just making other people try to follow that path. I mean, you look at Andre Ward and listen to some of the things he's saying, and, they're all trying to copy Floyd, and there's only one Floyd. He was successful. These guys aren't. We'll wait and see what happens with a potential matchup between Gervonta Davis and Adrian Broner. But anyway, let's talk about some emails right now. First one is from Jesse. He says, hey, Billy C. and Sal, I saw the Lomachenko and Socha fight, and Socha just didn't have the defense or the offensive output. He didn't throw enough punches. I think Vasyl should fight Mikey Garcia next, or someone in the top 15 in that division. If the current champions like Corrales and Burchelt, for whatever reason, don't want to fight him. I don't see any other fighter really challenging, but maybe Eric De Leon, Eduardo Hernandez, and Ludwan Barthelemy. They have good skills, but won't be ready to fight him until late next year. For that reason, he should move up and challenge himself, even though the next division are too big for him. But his skills might give those fighters some big problems. Similar to what we're saying. I mean, moving up, when you constantly move up in division, I mean, look what happened to Chocolito, Sal. I mean, he kept moving up, and it didn't fare well for him in his last fight.
No, and like we were saying earlier, a lot of times those weight classes that you're abandoned or you have to move up, a lot of it's fan driven or promoter driven, and it's something. I look at Pacquiao. I think he was fighting maybe if he continues to move up or to continue. I thought he fought maybe a weight class or two above where he should have been at his all-time best. But it happens. I mean, if a weight class is dry or you can't get the type of fights or opponents that are willing to get in a ring, or and maybe it's just not a great time for that weight class to have top contenders, you got to look elsewhere.
Yeah.
And either losing a weight class or gaining a weight class, everyone wants to move up and find some good opponents. So
yeah, no doubt. And I agree with you. Manny Pacquiao, his best weight was and still is really 140 maybe. But got a bunch of emails here, Sal. So let me try. Jesse says again, Billy, is Manny going to make some more money versus Horn than he would have with Crawford or Thurman? Not really interested in the Horn fight. Do you think superstar fighters should fight in other countries other than the U.S. to attract more fans? I just feel boxing needs to attract this new generation of fans. It wouldn't hurt to have some big fights out of the U.S. Here and there. I'm not so sure. I think he's definitely making the money. I think he chose Jeff Horn because of the money that the promoter threw at him. And the reason why he's fighting outside of the States for a couple of reasons. Number one, a tax issue. I mean, he doesn't have to pay the tax that he does in the U.S., but I think it boils down to money, Sal. I mean, quickly, what do you think? I mean, don't you think they threw him a boatload of cash to fight Horn in Australia?
Well, I think that probably is, it's the need or the greed. I mean, that's what happens with a lot of these promoters and the fighters. Not to their discredit. I mean, it means a lot. Your emotions are either for need or either for greed. So,
no in between, right?
No in between. Forget about it.
He says, Billy and Sal, if a fighter just got out of a big fight like Thurman just did with Danny Garcia, is he currently training hard, or is he training and going through the motions just to stay in somewhat of a good shape? Should fighters train hard even though they don't have a fight lined up? I think you mentioned that even in training, you're wearing your body down. Can sleeping and resting about 10 hours make up for you training hard if you choose to do that, even though you don't have a fight scheduled? Should you train hard even though you don't have a fight scheduled? This is his main question. You know that more than me, but before you answer, I just want to say this. Everybody knows that I'm not a big Floyd Mayweather fan, and if you haven't figured that out yet, I'm telling you that now. But where I've always given Floyd credit is that Floyd maintains a fighting condition. Now, he may not be training balls to the wall 100% when he doesn't have a fight lined up, but Floyd Mayweather, and what makes him a Hall of Famer, is the fact that he never lets his body get totally out of shape like other fighters in the past have. Even great fighters like Roberto Duran used to balloon up big time in between fights. So I think, in my opinion, I think it's important for fighters to stay in good shape if they are an elite or a class 1 type, class A type fighter. Sal, does a fighter need to train just as hard as they would in a fight, or do they lack? So, I mean, I think fighters should definitely take a couple of weeks off after a big fight. But, I mean, what's your thoughts on this? Great question from Jesse.
The great question, Jesse. And in my humble opinion, I will tell you this. The secret to conditioning, in my humble opinion, is stressing your body and resting your body. And nothing beats a training camp that I found, that I enjoyed, 6 weeks out before a fight. Now, maybe just maybe, what I would always do is keep in shape. But I couldn't go in a gym and boom and do it every day at the intensity and the ferocity that, hey, I train on another level with sprints, intervals, distance, and I would maintain and do things like that. But without a fight in sight, or without an opponent in sight, that's when you bite the bullet and you're visualizing, you're using your imagery training, and you're seeing, now you have a goal, you have a date, you have everything else, and nothing like that ferocity and that training and that momentum and that passion and intensity. That's when you hone in, and you can't overtrain. So I think when you have downtime, yeah, you got to stress your body, you got to rest your body. You don't have to train like you're training for a world-class fight, but I think you do maintain and keep in good shape. So you have a turnaround time. If you need to get ready in 6 weeks, 8 weeks, you could do that. You don't need 18 months, right, Bill?
Yeah, no, like Billy Joe Sanders. Hey, listen, I got a bunch of emails, and unfortunately, we're running out of time here. We got Larry Hazard scheduled to join us in a couple of minutes, and let me just try and get one more out of the way. This one's from my man Chris, I believe, Chris from Canada. Yeah, he says Mikey Garcia has recently stated he wanted to fight Lomachenko at 135, but would like to see him fight twice at that weight. Mikey says if it happens right away and he wins, people will say that he was just a bigger fighter. Mikey ducked Gamboa. Will he duck Lomachenko? I don't think Mikey would duck Lomachenko, but who the hell is Mikey Garcia to dictate? These fighters today, it all seems like a chess match, Sal. These guys are trying to position themselves. Who's the A side? Who's got to do what? If Mikey Garcia truly said, oh, I'd like to see him fight a couple of fights at that weight first, I mean, who the hell? No one loves Mikey Garcia more than me. But if Mikey Garcia, and I don't know this for a fact, but if Mikey Garcia said he needs to see Lomachenko move up to 135 and fight a couple of fights before he'll fight him, I say to Lomachenko, forget about Mikey Garcia. Forget him. I think that Lomachenko is giving Mikey Garcia a chance to get a big payday. Mikey Garcia isn't a guy that people are dying to fight, and it's not like he's a big money guy. I mean, come on, man. Sal, you got a minute. What's your thoughts?
I just concur exactly with you said. I mean, who needs who for the big money? I mean, Lomachenko is already a proven commodity, and he's there to stay. And Mikey Garcia, I respect him. I think he's a great fighter, but I think he would look to benefit from the Lomachenko fight on a lot of levels, monetarily speaking and notoriety speaking. So yeah, I think he would need the Lomachenko fight more than Lomachenko would need Mikey Garcia.
Yeah, I mean, no doubt about that. I mean, I agree with you there, my man. But listen, Sal, we are going to take a break. When we get back, we're scheduled to have Larry Hazard on the phone. And then we got Alex Perpali is going to come on and do our blast from the past. And then we're going to come back to my man Sal, finish up these emails, and talk about some other stuff that's going on in the sport of boxing. Hopefully we'll have time, but if not, we'll carry it over to the next show. But a lot of happenings, and hey, Sal, go drink another couple of gallons of coffee, and we'll see you in a couple of minutes, my man.
All right, buddy. You guys take care. I will look forward to coming back soon.
We'll be back in 2.
The Billy C. Morning Show will be right back.
Hey, fight fans, check out KOFantasyBoxing.com. KO Fantasy Boxing is boxing's only trademarked fantasy game. Check it out, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. Select your own gym, your own fighters, track them through a season that can last from 3 months to a year, depending upon which league you join. We got to check this out, man. www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. Join it today. Again, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com, and tell them Billy C sent ya.
Now let's dig into our archives and hear a rare interview when Billy C. first became the champion of boxing talk radio. Hello, Billy C. As the new champ, can we ask you a few questions?
My son Certainly.
Okay, your fans would like to know how you and your corner have successfully walloped the competition.
We're not ordinary people. We're morons.
Anything else?
I'm a victim of circumstance.
Did your success finally come when you made the show 5 days a week for 2 hours? What do you think?
I'm trying to think, but nothing happens.
Now, please tell the listeners what you've learned from making it this far.
Certainly. If at first you don't succeed, keep on sucking till you do succeed.
Great words of wisdom, Billy C. Keep up the great work as the undisputed People's Champion with your show, Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. Any last words to anyone who's listening?
This is your fault, you bonehead.
Check out BillyCBoxing.com now, or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Oh, that hurts. Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you.
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning.
Now back to the Billy C. Morning Show. Interact with the show at BillyCBoxing.com.
And we're back. You're listening to the Billy C. Show. Glad you could be with us today. And don't forget about downloading our app. Yeah, go to Fight. That's FITE.TV /Billy C. And download our app today and watch our show on Fight TV. Well, joining me right now, he's a Boxing Hall of Famer and New Jersey Boxing Commissioner. Please welcome my man, Larry Hazard. What's up, Larry?
Hey, Billy, what's going on? I hope you're feeling better.
Oh man, that was like don't even remind me about that. That was horrific, man. That was pretty bad. I rarely get sick, and to me, getting sick if you have a sniffle or something like that, it's more of a nuisance. But man, did I get knocked out? I dragged myself up at the count of 9, Larry.
Well, at least you beat the count.
This is true. If I didn't beat the count, unfortunately, I wouldn't be talking to you today. But anyway, I got a bunch of stuff to chat with you about. But first, I got an email from a listener that is for you. It's from my man Joel. He says, "Hey Larry, I was curious if you saw the new controversy we had out of New York State with the MMA on Saturday's UFC." With the new unified MMA rules, a fighter has to have both hands on the mat in order to avoid getting a knee to the head, as opposed to just one hand on the mat. Chris Weidman was fighting Gerard Masusi, in which Chris had thought both hands were on the mat. He was kneed in the head while Gerard was pulling Chris up by his upper body, so his hands would be off the mat. The ref stopped the fight, because initially it was viewed as illegal when Chris was taking his allotted time to recover. Referee John McCarthy was outside the cage, told the ref for the fight it was a legal shot. After reviewing a replay, the doctors looked over Chris, telling him that he could continue, but ultimately they said he was unable to continue for no apparent reason, and the fight was declared a TKO victory for Gerard. Who do you blame, Larry? I feel John, the referee, shouldn't have gotten involved, or the outside referee shouldn't have gotten involved since it wasn't his fight. The ref of the fight is the authority. No one should intervene. What's your thoughts, please?
Well, you're starting out very good. You get an A because you're absolutely correct on that part. And it's a funny thing. I was just on the radio yesterday discussing this very issue. The problem here is that back in 2001, as you may or may not know, the state of New Jersey, under our leadership, we actually brought the MMA community together and structured what is known and what has been known, for many years now, as the unified rules of MMA, just as we had done for professional boxing. And for years, those rules have been in place. this past year, 2016, at the ABC convention, once again, you get these boxing heads together, and they finally found something that they wanted to break so that they could get credit for fixing. And so they wanted to change the definition of a downed fighter. What is a downed fighter? Prior to that, ABC Unified Rules says that a downed fighter is one who, if anything other than about over the sole of his feet, and he can have one hand, one finger, any other part of his body, such as that canvas, he's down. So some of the referees come up with the bright idea, and I think this guy McCarthy was one of them, that that was no longer feasible. So now a fighter must have two hands flat on the canvas, like a monkey, I guess, or a chimpanzee, or two fists flat on the canvas, which is very difficult. From the very beginning of the change of this rule, New Jersey has been opposed to it. So what happened in New York, the rule proved itself to be not for anyone's benefit, except to the fact that it caused even more confusion. So Marigliata had ruled initially that the knees to the head were illegal. He called time. Then he himself went over to the McCarthy, the referee who's outside of the cage, and asked for his assistance by way of replay, because the UFC supplies the commission with monitors around the cage. So McCarthy obviously was looking there at the replay, and he informed Marigliata, no, the knees were legal because Weidman did not have both palms on the canvas. So Marigliata went back into the cage and reversed himself. So the confusion, the mass confusion, really stems from the fact that New York State does not have an instant replay rule in their regulations. So that's the point at which Weidman would hang any protest. Was it the right call via instant replay? Oh, yes. It proved the benefit of instant replay, but New York State does not have instant replay in its regulations. Therefore, the referee committed a violation, okay, by overturning his own ruling. So that's basically where the confusion is.
Thanks for that, Larry. I mean, it does. Without getting into it, it doesn't surprise me. New York. Whatever. Let's move on. This past weekend, man, did we see another display of in what I think people should watch and classify as the sweet science. Vasyl Lomachenko took apart Jason Sosha. And, I mean, what I love about this guy, Larry, and I, of course I want your thoughts on the fight and his performance, but what I love about this guy is that he just, you can't hit him. He mixes things up. He goes to the body, goes to the head. He listens to his corner. He uses great footwork. He's not afraid to engage. He's always seemingly in a position to inflict damage on you. I mean, he's like a more polished, with a little less power version of Triple G. And I love him. I can't get enough of him. What was your thoughts of the performance and the continuing professional career of Vasyl Lomachenko?
Well, they got him on the right track. He's very talented. I don't want to go overboard. I'm certainly not going to mimic those commentators on HBO at Kellerman and Lampley, comparing him to Willie Pep. You're talking about a guy, Willie Pep, had over 100 fights. This guy has had maybe 9, 10 fights. He certainly is very talented, but I'm not going to go that far. I do think that he's in a class by himself right now, especially in that weight class. I'd like to see him and Mikey Garcia get it on, but I think he's very talented. I think that if they keep him right on, he utilizes, see what you are saying about the sweet science. I must agree, because he demonstrates that he has footwork. He utilizes the geography of the ring. He punches well. He mixes up his punches. He confuses his opponents with different strategies. He gives the opponent different looks, and he rarely takes a backward step. But if he steps back or goes to the side, he comes with a different strategy. He comes back. So, the guy has the full package. And, and until he meets someone who can match those talents, he's going to be around a while. And I just think that he's a real deal.
Yeah, there's no doubt. And they're talking about possibly matching him up with Mikey Garcia. That was one of our topics today. And the thing is I absolutely love that matchup. But did I lose you, Larry?
No, I'm still here.
Oh, all right. I thought I might have lost you. I heard a dial tone, but they're talking about matching him up with Garcia, and right away, it just seems like the movement today. Everybody wants fighters to move up so quickly, but in Lomachenko's case, it doesn't seem like he's got much other choice. Nobody wants to fight him. But one thing I do want to add. You're 100% right about the commentating, and not just HBO, but Showtime, all across the board has become so biased. What happened to calling what you're seeing in front of you? They were talking about that fighter, Usyk, as being one of the most skilled fighters ever to put on a pair of gloves, and they say, oh, he wants to move up to heavyweight, and I'm saying to myself, although he might be decent in the cruiserweight division, I don't think he stands a chance in hell in the heavyweight division. He just doesn't have the pop. He's too small. What is up with these guys with the accolades they seem to be given?
I can't see anything other than the fact that these guys, seems like these networks seem to have a stake in some of these guys.
The what?
It seems like, are you still there, Billy?
Yeah. It seemed like you cut off there for a sec.
Yeah, sometimes it's better if we go on the landline.
You want me to give you a shout back on the other line?
Can you do that?
Yeah, I'll do it right now.
Okay, do that.
I'm going to give my man Larry a call on the bat line. We got this special line for my man Larry, so we'll give him a call right now, and it will. I'm sure it'll be much better for. Oh wow, man, that's so much better. We just got to go with this line from now on, my man.
Okay.
Anyway, let me ask you this. Let's move on to some other topics here before we have to go already. But they announced it. Andre Ward and Sergey Kovalev, it's set for June 17th in Vegas. I love the fact that they're having a rematch, but what bothers me about all of the games that went into this prior to the official announcement was Andre Ward. There was a time when I felt that he was the pound-for-pound top fighter. During the Super Six, you look at his resume, and I was one of the few guys saying I thought that he was the best over Floyd Mayweather because of the level of his opposition and because of the frequency of his fights. And then he went into that, multi-year layoff, so to speak. And since then, he's come back as a diva. He had a rematch clause in the contract. The first fight was controversial. Some people, it was a close fight, but, there was some controversy surrounding it. And, he played games like he wasn't going to give the rematch, and now he's giving a rematch, and his attitude is, don't make any excuses. I'm the best. You got to come to see me, blah, 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 blah. And at the end of the day, Larry, I mean, people could say what they want about certain fighters, and I'll use Floyd as an example. You could like him or not like him, but the guy puts fannies in seats, and he sells pay-per-views, something that Ward has not done. He doesn't even sell out his own local venues, and he certainly hasn't done any staggering pay-per-view numbers, but yet he's acting like he is. What's your thoughts on his divaism and the rematch itself, and do you think it's going to go any differently?
Well, one thing for sure, he's going to have to put up or shut up, okay? He doesn't, Billy, it's very hard to for these guys not to become these what do you call these divas, because I blame a lot of that on the commentators. Once again, the publicity that they receive. They start comparing these guys to some of the greatest fighters in the history of the game, and these guys begin to start believing their press clippings, so it's like it's a human thing, I don't know if you can blame them totally, a lot of the fans, a lot of the blog writers, we spoil these fighters, and Andre Ward's no different. He is undefeated, we got this pound for pound best fighter in the world. There's always the debate on that. I'm the greatest. And then another one comes along. He's the greatest. So it's like anything else. These athletes are spoiled. They certainly, in my opinion, don't compare to the fighters of the past era. As far as the rematch is concerned, Andre, I think the pressure is really on him because there are so many fans that thought that he lost the first fight. Frankly speaking, I kind of gave Kovalov the edge in that fight if it were not for the fact that maybe Andre was the favorite. That's when those little elements come into it. Who knows what happened? But he still has a lot to prove now. And fortunately for us, he's coming again outside of Oakland. I think that had a lot to do, or has a lot to do, with his persona and him not gaining the level of popularity and prestige that other fighters have. Even though Floyd didn't fight much outside of Las Vegas, you're talking about a different personality altogether. Okay, so Andre Ward, he has the mountain to climb, I think, going into this fight. And so he's the one that has more to prove than anyone else, and we'll just have to wait and see what happens. But he seems to be determined. So is Kovalov. So I expect a better fight this time.
I hope.
I think Kovalov is trying to bait him into fighting the type of fight that he wants him to fight, because I'm listening to the comments. I hope he doesn't run. I hope he decides to fight me. So if he decides to really go after Kovalov and get in there and engage him more, you might have a different result.
Yeah, but you know what? First of all, I scored that fight, the first fight. I, too, gave the edge to Kovalev. I think, if my failing memory serves me, I think I had the fight even in rounds, but because of the knockdown, I think that I had Kovalev winning the fight by a point or so. But, here's the thing. I think, and I agree with you, where the burden is kind of on Ward. He does have to put up or shut up. And my point about him not being able to draw is he couldn't even draw in his own hometown of Oakland. And people could say what they want, and I'm the first guy to say that I'm not a big Floyd Mayweather fan. And not that he's packed places to see him live, but the man sells pay-per-views. I mean, he holds all the record pay-per-views. I mean, the facts are the facts. I mean, you can't get around that. But I think the burden of the rematch is actually going to be on Kovalev, Larry. And the reason why I say this is because if I'm Andre Ward, obviously he doesn't care about what people say and think in terms of his excitement level and all of this. All he cares about is just getting the win. And I think that he's going to have to respect Kovalev's power. And I think it's going to be up to Kovalev to be in a position where he has to cut the ring off and force Ward into the fight that he wants. He can't just coax them and bait him into, from a war of words to want to get in there and go toe-to-toe. I think Ward is going to fight this even more cautiously than he did the first time. I think the first time he tried to show that he belongs in there from a power perspective, and he found his butt on the canvas. So I think there's more pressure on Kovalev this time to really come out and put a whooping on Ward. Otherwise, his value. I think that if he doesn't beat Ward this time, I think his value is going to go down. I think people are going to, really hold it against him.
Well, I have to agree with you there. I have to agree with you there in terms of him winning. So, that does kind of shift a little bit of the pressure. I didn't look at it from that perspective of Kovalev. But Kovalev, if he doesn't beat Ward this time, I do think that his value is going to go down a little bit. I believe that just as Triple G, I think value kind of went down a little bit in the Jacobs fight. And I wanted to point out something to show you the inconsistency in the judging. Now, in the Triple G fight, Jacobs fight, I think that a very strong determining factor in Triple G's favor was that he scored a knockdown in that fight, because that was a very close fight. And I had Jacobs winning, but for the knockdown. So I couldn't argue with the decision. But now here we have another fight that was very similar, in my opinion, in terms of closeness. Okay, could have gone either way. But the guy that scored the knockdown, he didn't get the decision. You see, so it shows some, inequities there in the way that judges look at fights. But I have to agree with you there. You make a very good point about a certain amount of the pressure being on Kovalev. But hey Billy, this is one of those situations where I think that both of these guys have pressure, a certain amount of pressure on them for different reasons. So, we're going to see what happens, when they fight. I personally think that things are going to be pretty much the same as they were before. Because, like you said, Ward is going to probably fight the same strategy. And Triple G, I believe, is going to have the same amount of difficulty getting him to engage the way that he wants him to engage that he did in the first fight. And so we may end up with a similar result. So we'll see.
Yeah, you mean Kovalev. Triple G.
Kovalev,
Andre wants to fight Triple G. But, hey, one last question I got for you. I'm hoping you have an explanation for me, my man. Now, you're a boxing Hall of Famer, and so hopefully you'll have a strong opinion on this, or maybe you'll not want to give your opinion. But the International Boxing Hall of Fame, their induction weekend this year is June 8th through the 11th, and every year they name a grand marshal of the big parade that they have. And when they first started doing these Hall of Fame weekends back in the day, I mean, I loved the Hall of Fame. I mean, we don't have to get into, a lot of people feel that it's not the same anymore, myself included. But a couple of years ago, they started changing this grand marshal position. We had the guy from The Sopranos once. They had Rosie Perez one year, I think last year or the year before. And, you know, when Rosie Perez was announced, I said to myself, you know what? Rosie Perez is connected to boxing in a way. You know, she's always ringside. I've had a chance to chat with her several times. She knows the sport. I mean, yes, she's not a fighter. She's an actress, but there is a connection there, you know. They announced the Parade of Champions Grand Marshal this year. And he's the star, Eric Braeden. He's the star of The Young and the Restless. For 37 years, he's been on The Young and the Restless soap opera. I'm perplexed here, Larry. What does he have? What connection does he have with boxing? I mean, he doesn't even have a connection with any kind of sports, let alone boxing. What's your thoughts on the guy who plays Victor Newman, you know, Eric Braeden, being the Grand Marshal of the Boxing Hall of Fame Parade of Champions?
Well, you know, Billy, to be honest with you, I never really gave it a whole lot of thought, which is par for the way that I've looked at the Grand Marshal each year. I wasn't at the Hall of Fame last year because, as you know, that was the weekend of Muhammad Ali's funeral, and I was in Louisville. I was there, Rosie Perez. I agree with you there. She does, now that you bring it up, she does have some connection to the sport of boxing because I've seen her in different settings, boxing settings. As far as this year, I really haven't given it any thought, and I really have never focused that much on the Grand Marshal. But now that you bring it up, I mean, my opinion, if I could offer it, I do believe that a position like that, someone participating in that capacity, should at least be someone closely tied to the sport, or at least a recognizable boxing aficionado, or someone who, you know, has been around the sport. And as you say, this particular person has no connection to the game whatsoever. So it does seems a little odd. You know, it seems a little odd that, you know, he would be the Grand Marshal. But maybe they couldn't get anybody else. I don't know.
I don't know, Larry. I'm sure you would have been glad to ride in the back of the rumble seat there. But I don't know. It never ceases to amaze me. But Larry, appreciate your time. Great job as usual, and we'll look forward to you next week, brother.
Okay, Billy.
Have a good one, my man. And we'll be talking on this line, all right?
Okay, good.
All right, brother. Take care.
Okay.
That's Larry Hazard, Boxing Hall of Fame, New Jersey boxing commissioner, and giving us his thoughts on all that happy stuff we were just talking about. So, anyway, before I take a break here real quick, and then we're scheduled to have our blast from the past, I want to run down the baseball scores from last night. The Tigers topped the Twins 2-1. The Indians over the White Sox in 10 innings 2-1. The Nationals beat the Cardinals 8-3. My Mets beat the snot out of the Phillies 14-4. 20 hits the Mets had. Finally, the bats come alive. My man, Yoenis Cespedes, had 3 home runs. Matt Harvey goes to 2-0 for the Mets. The Reds topped the Pirates 6-2. The Brewers over the Blue Jays 4-3. Red Sox beat the Orioles 8-1. Marlins over the Braves 8-4. Rockies beat the Padres 3-2. The Angels beat the Rangers 6-5. They advance. They go to 6-2 right now already on the season. The Astros beat the Mariners 7-5, and the Diamondbacks 7-2 on the season now after yesterday's win over the Giants 4-3. Hey, listen, I'm going to take a short break, and when I come back, the blast from the past is on tap.
The Billy C. Morning Show will be right back.
Hey, fight fans, check out KOFantasyBoxing.com. KO Fantasy Boxing is boxing's only trademarked fantasy game. Check it out, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. Select your own gym, your own fighters, track them through a season that can last from 3 months to a year, depending upon which league you join. You got to check this out, man. www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. Join it today. Again, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. and tell them Billy C sent ya.
Check out BillyCBoxing.com now, or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Oh, that hurts. Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you.
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning.
Now back to the Billy C Morning Show, part of the Billy C Boxing Network. Interact with the show at BillyCBoxing.com.
And we're back. You're listening to the Billy C Show. Glad you could join us. And hey, listen, have you check out Gawk Box yet? No? Check it out, man. You can benefit from it, and so can we. So check out our website, www.billycboxing.com, and click on the Gawk Box section, which is right there on the left-hand side. I should say the Gawk Box banner. But, hey, it's time for one of our favorite segments of the show and longest-running segments.
Blast from the past. We shine the spotlight again on fighters from years past.
Top ranking. Joe Louis is the leading contender.
Joe Frazier with a left hook. Good right hand thrown by Foreman that time. Look at that left hook.
belt that goes to Ray Mancini. It's Blast from the Past on Talkin' Boxing.
And this week's Blast from the Past features, which is being brought to us by the Title Bout Championship computer game. Download yourself a copy right now by visiting our website, www.billycboxing.com, and clicking on the Title Bout Championship computer game banner, which is on the left, and KOFantasyBoxing.com. Check it out, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. Features former junior welterweight world champion and boxing Hall of Famer. And it was another request. And thanks for all the requests. If you have a request for a blast, just drop me an email, billy@talkinboxing. That's TALKINBOXING.com. And we'll be glad to hook you up. Features Jack Kid Berg. And joining me right now to tell us all about Jackie Kid Berg is my man, Alex Perpali. Good morning, Alex.
Good morning, Billy C. How are you?
Not too bad, brother. Not too bad. How is it today? You're enjoying our new technology advancements with the show, and I'm glad we finally get to see you. Nice, neat beard and mustache, I must say.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, I got my morning coffee here, ready to do a blast from the past. I guess I just stare into the little eye here like they do on the news shows these days.
That's right. The technology. Even the Billy C show is caught up with technology. So tell us about Jackie Kid Berg.
Yeah, Jackie Kid Berg. One thing that's a little interesting is I did see that I have a little conflicting information about his birthplace. I guess it was East End, London seems to be the consensus, but I did find one source that says he was born in Odessa, Russia in 1909 and then moved to London's East End, the Whitechapel section, and that was where he got his nickname. Was the Whitechapel Windmill was his nickname, also because of his fighting style. Real furious puncher, throwing lots of punches, very aggressive guy. He had a rugged strength and an incredible ability to absorb punishment. He was 5'9" tall, and he fought from lightweight to welterweight. He was the fourth son of 7 kids to Jacob and Millicent Bergman. And did I mention his real name was actually Judah Bergman? Yeah,
the traitor. No,
he changed his name. Excuse me, and he was of Jewish descent, and he did, as some fighters did at that point, sort of capitalize on that. Evidently, he wasn't all that religious. His father evidently had been a rabbi, but So I don't know how he couldn't be very religious with a rabbi as a father, but hey, maybe that's the way it is. Yeah, he learned to box at a young age. I don't have too much about his very young age, but he started boxing at like 16 years old. If you look at his record, he started fighting at ridiculously young age and had so many fights just in London, in Whitechapel. And by the time he got to America and went into the Chicago area, he was only 19, but he had already had, actually I should have counted them up, but he had already had, about 30 fights. So quite a busy youngster.
Yeah, no, listen, this guy, I mean, we talk about busy fights. I mean, this guy fought, if you're counting 3 pages worth on BoxRec within 4 or 5 years, so more than fighters have today in their whole career. But the thing that impresses me, Alex, is the names that he's fought. On his way up, I mean, he typically had the same thing we do today with fighting less than stellar opposition in his home country. Once he expanded and spidered out, I mean, when you start looking at the names and all prior to him winning the world title, and then of course when he did win the world title, I mean, he fought guys, Bruce Flowers, and the thing about these fights, when you look at them, he fought these guys multiple times: Mushy Callahan, Bruce Flowers. Tony Canzanori several times, Billy Petroli. I mean, when I see the names, the best thing we can do when we look and do these blasts from the past and trying to do a comparison when footage is limited, et cetera, you got to look at the other names and how they fared. And this guy did really well. And the thing is, too, Alex, is that he held on to his title really for only a couple of years, but in that time he had many successful title defenses against the best fighters of his day in his division.
Yeah, that's right. And at one point he did hold a record for a British fighter for, I think it was 9 defenses, 9 successful defenses that I believe that has been since broken. Probably Lennox Lewis might have done it, or maybe Calzaghe. But yeah, when he set sail to the U.S. in 28, his record was 53-3-3 before his first bout in the U.S. So yeah, I mean, that's quite, and that's at 19 years old. So it is amazing how much these guys learned on the job. But yeah, you're right. The Mushy Callahan was it's a great name. And evidently he was a Jewish fighter too. That was a made up name, Callahan. He made himself sound like an Irish guy. But like you said, I think that's one of the things that we like to talk about here on the Blast, and it's a good measure of guys, is how did they do against other Hall of Famers. And as you mentioned, he had 3 bouts with Tony Canzaneri. He won 1, lost 2. 1 loss was by stoppage. One of the interesting things about that, one of the losses, a decision loss, was it was under, this is a great question or issue for Larry, but it was under the New York State Athletic Commissions at the time, which had a rather heartless rule that if you couldn't win or lose on a foul. So if you were dropped due to a low blow, you had to get up. And at one point, Berg is dropped from a low blow, and he had to beat the count, beat the 10 count. And the bout was allowed to continue. Evidently, that rule probably didn't stay that long. I don't know. That was interesting to me. It was the first I had read about that. But he went the distance after that. And, I mean, I don't know how, imagine getting hit low and then being forced to recover in 10 seconds. And then continuing a 15-round fight against Tony Canzaneri. I would say that would probably be quite a difficult task. But against Billy Petroli, another Hall of Famer, he was 1-1-1. He had been, one of the losses was by stoppage. I mean, the loss was by stoppage, and then he had a 10-round draw with him, and then he eventually avenged that. And he was, and this may have been his greatest bout, or at least it sure sounds like thrilling one to watch. He was 2-0 over Kid Chocolate, and their first fight sounded like a real hell of a match.
Yeah, you know, that was one of the names that stuck out for me, was the Kid Chocolate fight. And you know, after the fight in which he lost against Tony Canzonori, he lost his title after that fight and never fought again for a world title, but continued his career all the way until 1945. It just seems that from 1938 through 1945, he was kind of on his swan song. But prior to that, when he lost to Canzonori in that 15-round decision in New York, he did beat Kid Chocolate. And he also had some wins over some other interesting-looking fighters that I never heard of. Tony Falco was 63-12. He beat him. George Odwell, he lost to. And George Odwell in London, 125 wins, 23 losses, and 9 draws. Harry Mason, another one in the UK, he fought 145 wins, 52 losses, and 15 draws. I mean, he did fight some, what appears, even though I'm not familiar, some established fighters. Now, he did have 2 fights coming out with a win against Tippy Larkin, who I also believe is Tippy Larkin in the Hall of Fame. I for some reason I thought he was. And Pedro Montaz, he lost. He got stopped by him. But after those fights, it seems that he kind of just went on a swan song, you know, fighting mostly in the UK, and ended his career with a knockout win over Johnny McDonald in 1945, and didn't seem to come back after that.
No, there is no comeback, which, you know, he kind of, I don't know, you got to kind of admire that. Once you're done, you're done.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. Pedro Montanez, I forgot to mention him. That was another Hall of Famer that he had on his record. He lost. He only had 1 bout with him, and he lost. It was later in his career. Yeah, so that's 4 Hall of Famers on his record. And you're right, there are some fascinating names. I noticed one, when you just peruse it, one name that jumped out at me. He fought him 3 times in a row in 35, was a guy named Gustav Humery, which was sort of struck me as an interesting name. But yeah, just he had a thrilling style. There is a little bit of him on YouTube. He was motivated into you know, boxing. His hero was Ted Kid Lewis, was another great British boxer that we've talked about here. But he was, when he went to Chicago, you know, he set sail to the U.S. in 1928 and went to Chicago. This is right in the middle of Prohibition days, a lot of gangsters in Chicago. And he ran afoul of the gangster Jack Legs Diamond, who I guess was later killed in a gangland hit at the same hotel where Jackie Kid Berg and his trainer Ray Arcel were staying. But there was actually a time earlier where they had a little bit of a connection to the gangster that makes you wonder if, you know, this it's something you can imagine, like a scene from Boardwalk Empire. Him and trainer Ray Arcel, they were at the Harding Hotel in Chicago after a hard workout, excuse me, and 2 thugs busted into their hotel room with guns, and were mad at Berg. They said, "We heard you've been flirting with Legs Diamond's girlfriend," and evidently it took them quite a while for Arcel and Berg to you know, negotiate for their lives, but eventually the gang guys, you know, thugs, whatever they were, took off. But yeah, I thought that was a little interesting story. Eventually he did get married. He met his wife. He went for a swim in a pool early in World War II, he had joined the Royal Air Force, and he went swimming in an outdoor pool at Roehampton, and he met his wife, Moya, there.
And what happened, Alex? Tell us. Did
they got married? They had a family.
Yeah, there was not. I mean, back in those days, you meet somebody, it's like, I love you too. Let's get married. Let's have kids. And that was it. Today, not so much. But what did he do? I don't really know much about Jackie Kid Berg after the sport of boxing. And interesting, you say World War II. It looks like, when his career ended. It looks like he may have fought, was in the war and then fought those last couple of fights afterwards. But what did he do in life after his boxing career? Because he lived to the ripe old age of 81.
Well, one of the things that he did that I thought was really fascinating, and you could probably still see him to this day, is he was a stuntman in the movies. He had gotten gotten good at another trade, not just boxing, horse riding, and he was a stuntman in the movies. And he's in the 1944 film Henry V. Evidently, there's a famous battle scene there with a big horse charge and everything. And one of the horsemen is Jackie Kid Berg. He used the horse riding skills to get work. During the, when times were tough and he wasn't, to supplement his income, as they say. But, it really, that Kid Chocolate fight was really tremendous. Oh, and that's another thing. I did find there's the show, This Is Your Life. There's an episode of that on YouTube that was really interesting to watch. And he was friendly with another Hollywood connection. He was friendly with the great director John Huston, who I've never seen the movie. I've seen Moby Dick and I've seen Chinatown, of course, by John Huston, but I've never seen Fat City. I think that is about boxing, actually. It's based on a novel. But he was there the night that Berg fought Kid Chocolate, and he recalls a story of just how impressive that victory was. And he said that it was determination and inner power that you managed to do that, to come up with that tremendous win over Kid Chocolate.
Yeah, he had a great career, and there's no question about that. And what about his death at 81 years old? I mean, was it natural causes or what?
All I got is the New York Times obituary, and you're right, 81. And in terms of after boxing, not only did he have the stuntman occupation, but he did own a restaurant, as so many boxers do. But it just says his death came after a long illness. So, no, I'm not really sure what it was.
Well,
that's upsetting to me because I like to know the gory details.
I know you do, and hey, listen, they all open up bars or restaurants afterwards, it seems. But one thing Jack Kid Berg didn't do was battle the newspaper battles, huh? He wasn't a newspaper kid, huh?
Right. Yeah, I did. I was. That was another thing I was looking for was. What were his street fights like? Was it over newspapers? Was it over his shoeshine box? What exactly toughened this guy up? Right. Those are some of the great stories.
Well, the greatest fights in the history of the sport took place over newspaper, areas and the kids and shoeshines. I mean, we see that all the time. But how did he fare in title bout, my man?
Well, I only put him in one fight, but I think it's a really good one. Because we really do, the division that he was in was, that he won his title at was junior welterweight. And we do have, who I would consider the kingpin at 140 pounds is Terrence Crawford. And he did very well. The first time they fought, it was a majority decision for Jackie Kid Berg. The first score of 114 even. And then he was overruled by two scores of 115, 113 for Berg, so that was, that's a 7-5 fight. When they fight 100 times, Berg gets the better of him. 52 wins, 42 defeats, 6 draws, 16 wins by knockout, and Terrence Crawford was able to score 12 KOs in his 42 wins.
Interesting. Sometimes they get it right, I think. Well, most of the time, I think the title bout gets it right.
I think it's got a pretty good record. I mean, I think there's a couple of times recently where people had to have their eyebrows raised. I think the Michael Nunn versus Carlos Monzon, I think, was a little surprising. Michael Nunn did a lot better than I think he probably would have. But I don't know. I mean, it does make you think about things, because if you look at some of the early Michael Nunn, he was pretty exceptional. He was second to none.
This is true. Hey, listen, Michael Nunn could arguably be one of the best fighters of his era, and really since then we haven't seen anyone of his talent. But Jackie Kid Berg, great job as usual, Alex. He was a former junior welterweight champion, although BoxRec has him listed as a lightweight. He was inducted into the International Boxing Hall of Fame in 1994. He had a total of 192 fights, almost 1,700 rounds, with a career record of 157 wins, 61 by knockout, which gave him a 32% knockout ratio. He did lose 26 times, in which he was only stopped 9. And speaking of 9, he had 9 draws. So Jackie Kid Berg, our blast from the past, as per request today. So don't forget, if you want to request a blast, just drop me an email, billy@talkinboxing. That's TALKINBOXING.com. And Alex, a great job as usual. But since we got you for a few more minutes, I wanted to get your thoughts on a couple of things. First and foremost, Vasyl Lomachenko last week beat Jason Socha in what, at least I think, was a performance that really, although Socha, isn't a world beater, he's a pretty decent fighter, better than decent, I should say. But I think Lomachenko really separated himself from the rest of the fighters. Overall, he might well have solidified the number 1 pound-for-pound status, or at least up there in the top 3. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I think you could certainly make an argument for him being number 1. In a way, I guess it depends on how you look at your pound for pound. If pound for pound is mostly about potential and that idea of there's something pristine or something, that real idea of perfection and of being the form that a fighter might use in his fights, I would pick him. But right now, I think I put accomplishment a little higher, so I would probably have to say Ward is better, because he's got the Super 6 that he emerged victorious from, as well as the win over Kovalev, as controversial as that may have been. That said, he's breathtaking to watch. It's so much fun to see him do his thing. And I got to say, there is a nastiness to him that, I don't know, maybe some people might think it's a little bit poor sportsmanship to sort of humiliate a guy or while you're brutalizing him. But this is a hurt business. And I think that you could tell that there was points in there where he seemed to be taking a little bit of pleasure in the beating he was dishing out against Sosa. I don't mind that. I mean, a predator gets off on what he does, and I think that that's the thing about boxing. The part of boxing, that's spectacle, as well as sport. So I didn't really I enjoyed that part. There's a few times where it looks like he's kind of talking to Sosa in there, that I thought, that maybe some people were turned off about. But I kind of liked it.
Well, Socha was talking smack to him, really, and there was a time, I agree with you, that he was enjoying it. But then after that body shot, just before the fight was stopped, I think a round later, he kind of took his foot off the gas. I think he kind of started feeling a little sorry for Sosha. At least that's what it looked like to me. But one comment I want to make: you feel that Ward is above him. Listen, when you bring in the Super Six, it's hard to argue and discredit anything about Andre Ward because of his performance in the Super Six and the fact of who he fought in the Super Six. I mean, arguably the toughest opposition in his division, and really, when you compare it to other divisions at the time, I don't think there was anyone other than other fighters in the Super Six that were fighting that level of opposition. But Alex, I mean, how long do we keep that? I mean, what have you done lately? This is it's not an all-time great pound-for-pound list. It's a current pound-for-pound list, and Andre Ward, I mean, in the last 6 years, his biggest win was the Kovalev fight. And the Kovalev fight was extremely controversial to a degree. I mean, it was a close fight. I don't know. I just don't know if that justifies just immediately putting a guy. I mean, that was my argument for Andre Ward when Floyd was number one pound for pound. I was making the argument that I felt Andre should have been at that time because Floyd was doing the same thing, fighting once in a blue moon, and Ward was fighting all the best opposition that he could. So I mean, isn't it what have you done for me lately when we're talking about this pound for pound rankings?
No, I think that's a really great point. However, I would argue, that we have sort of a weird situation here because we have Andre Ward and Lomachenko, who, let's be honest, have precious few fights. You're right that the Super Six win is pretty far in the rearview mirror. However, it was a dominant, unification type win. So he really substantiated his name at that division. Then he also knocked out Chad Dawson, who at the time was a bigger man coming down in weight. So then, and you're right, now all he's done lately is the win over Kovalev. But Kovalev was a guy that I looked at as probably the best in the sport. To me, the only other guys you could argue, as sort of Manny Pacquiao drifts away, as Floyd leaves the game, is the Golovkin. And Golovkin, I think both Golovkin and Kovalev were in very close fights. And Andre Ward, to me, you could make an argument that he did beat Kovalev. I thought that fight was closer than you did. And I did think that as much as I thought Kovalev did deserve the decision that night, I thought that, Andre Ward was definitely the one finishing stronger, and in Vegas, they like that. So I have less problem thinking of Ward as the man who beat the man who was the best in the sport. And because of that, I don't have as much problem put him as number one over Vasyl Lomachenko, because so much about Lomachenko's greatness is what we see and what we imagine. Because he just hasn't beaten anyone of significant yet. Not to discredit Jason Sosa, he was game. He gave a hell of an effort. I mean, I think that's the thing about Vasyl Lomachenko is he's so great. Now we have to, we're doing what we always do, where we're trying to find, who can beat him? And you do have to go up a few divisions to find somebody who could.
Yeah. No. Well, I thought that the Ward Kovalev fight was extremely close, but I felt that Kovalev squeaked it out basically with the knockdown. But anyway, Alex, great job.
It's kind of weird how we have both those fights. I don't know. It sort of argues for longer than 15-round fights, I say, because look at the two, both Golovkin-Jacobs and Kovalev-Ward. They both hinge on a knockdown, and they both are like 114, 113 type fights when you watch them. And you could make the case of that going for either man. Now, of course, they have staunch, defenders on both sides. I've seen some people whose opinion I respect who have said that, the Golovkin-Jacobs win was an easy 116 type win for Golovkin, which I really disagree with. I thought it was closer than that. But that's the thing about our sport. It's amazing. And right now we have these two really high-profile fights that, hinge on that, like 1 point, 1 or 2 rounds. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah, I say bring back 15 rounds too, and just remember you can thank Sugar Ray Leonard's win over Marvin Hagler for changing the way the judges score fights and give it to guys that are challenging an established champion. But Alex, great job as usual. It's great to have you on now, and we can get your picture in here thanks to technology, and it's always only going to get better and better. So we'll wait till next time, my man. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, sounds great. Take care, Billy C.
That's Alex Papali doing a great job as usual. I'm going to take a short break. When I come back, Sal Rocky Senacola will be back, and we got some emails to read as we go into the final round of the show.
The Billy C. Morning Show will be right back. Part of the Billy C. Boxing Network.
Broadcasting in all corners of the globe, on the web and radio.
He would scoff at a stretch of that man, I would
You're listening to Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. from upstate New York in the good old US of A.
Boxing is here to stay because we are here to stay.
The best 2 hours of boxing talk on the airwaves.
Hey, fight fans, check out KOFantasyBoxing.com. KO Fantasy Boxing is boxing's only trademarked fantasy game. Check it out, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. Select your own gym, your own fighters, track them through a season that can last from 3 months to a year, depending upon which league you join. You got to check this out, man. www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. Join it today. Again, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com, and tell them Billy C sent ya.
Check out BillyCBoxing.com now, or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Oh, that hurts. Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you. I hate you.
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning.
Have you heard? Proactive Plus is faster and better than ever. Stay tuned for a $1 million bottle giveaway, and you'll also receive free shipping. Do you have troubled skin? Acne? Well, we have great news. With Proactive Plus, your acne can heal, and you can help prevent new breakouts from happening. Don't miss this limited time offer. Give us a call at 800-567-0214 because we're going to let 1 million people try Proactive Plus risk-free and get 2 free gifts and also receive free shipping when you call right now. You heard it. This offer won't last long. So call Proactive Plus now and you'll receive a 60-day risk-free trial of Proactive Plus, 2 free extras, and free shipping. Call 800-567-0214. This is our exclusive radio offer, never on TV. Get your risk-free 60-day trial of Proactive Plus with free shipping. That's right, free shipping. Don't wait. Call 800-567-0214. That's 800-567-0214.
Now back to the Billy C. Morning Show. Interact with the show at BillyCBoxing.com. Part of the Billy C. Boxing Network.
And we're back. You're listening to the Billy C. Show. Glad you could be with us today. And don't forget, download our app, will you? Just go to Fight, that's F-I-T-E, fight.tv/Billy C. Download our app today. Joining me right now again is Sal Rocky Senacola. How you doing, Sal?
How you doing, Bill?
I'm doing okay. You get plenty of coffee. Did you run to the toilet?
Let me tell you something. This is my 3rd cup of the big mug. Big mug.
No wonder why you run around that island the way you do.
You know what? I get to work, and Heather usually says, uh-oh, he's had 8 cups of coffee.
Okay, 8 cups of those. You're lucky you don't have a heart attack. But
hey, I'm lucky.
Anyway, we got a couple of more emails to read. This is from Luke, the Englishman in Korea, is like how Luke likes to go. He says, hey, Billy C., all this talk about the big Mexican showdown between Canelo and Chavez Jr. has got me thinking about the old Mexican fighters. With apologies to Canto and Olivares, in my opinion, there are three Mexican boxers who stand head and shoulders above the rest. It's difficult to put them in order, but gun to my head, I would put Salvador Sanchez, Julio Cesar Chavez Sr., and Carlos Zarate. Who do you and Sal think are the top three Mexican fighters? And by the way, could we get a blast from the past on Canto and or Zarate? Keep up the good work. And this is from Luke, the Englishman in Korea. As far as I'm concerned, Julio Cesar Chavez Sr., Salvador Sanchez, Zarate are all great Mexican fighters, Sal. Wasn't Little Red Lopez a Mexican fighter as well?
I think he was, transplanted to California. He too, like Canelo Alvarez, was Danny Little Red. He had red hair, and so maybe they're related. No, I'm teasing.
Do you have any other Mexican fighters that you would put above Salvador Sanchez Sr. and Zarate?
Was Carlos Palomino from Mexico? No, I don't think so.
I'm not sure. There's in my opinion, there was so many great Mexican fighters, but to put the top three, I need more time to digest that.
But I will tell you this: I could definitely say, in my mind, Billy C, the top two that come to my mind automatically would be Julio Cesar Chavez Sr. and Salvador Sanchez.
Yeah,
I have rise to the top in my mind.
I have to agree with you there. So I mean, at least we're in agreement with Luke, the Englishman in Korea. But Carlos Zarate too. I mean, he fought in another era. It's more recent. Well, him and Chavez, I think, fought around the same time. But Salvador Sanchez and like he's saying, no disrespect to Canto and Ruben Olivares, two other great fighters as well. So there's so many great Mexican fighters, Sal.
Great Mexican fighters, absolutely. A whole history of just great fighters coming from out of Mexico. Yes,
out of Mexico. We got another one. This is from my man Mike from Michigan. He says, "Hey Billy C, I'm going to dive right into this one." He says, "I find it hilarious that Frank Warren and his I'm going to use I'm not going to use the exact verbiage that my man did because we'll get in trouble on the airwaves these days. But let's just say Frank Warren and his not so good fighter, and let's just abbreviate B-Job Sanders, who's not a tough guy. I'm ad-libbing for some other words that he's chosen. Won't fight Triple G." And gave specific quotes saying he needed 18 months to prepare for that fight, et cetera, et cetera. And all of a sudden, Triple G hasn't looked that good, and now he's calling him out, giving Triple G the deadline of when to fight him. Maybe some of the moron fans don't understand it, but I clearly remember Billy Joe Saunders specifically saying he wanted no part of Triple G, and if he were to ever to fight Triple G, it would have to be for a lot of money, and it would take him at least 18 months to prepare for that fight. Personally, I think Triple G should call that BS bluff from Oscar saying it could jeopardize the Canelo fight and just beat the crap out of Billy Joe Saunders and then ask Canelo, where are we now? Boxing's becoming a joke, and anybody who feels differently, I just don't even know how to talk to anymore. But I'm excited that I get to see Kovalev beat the crap out of Andre Ward again. You guys all had it close. I had it the way John David Jackson saw it, 8-4, possibly 9-3, not even including the knockdown. I hope Kovalev rips his effing head off. Not really. I would never wish harm upon someone, but I would like to see him get his butt kicked, Ward, that is. And this is really the only fight for Ward, if you think about it. He can't beat Beterbiev because Beterbiev is way too strong to let Ward wrestle him. And Beterbiev has very good inside skills. And that, sir, is all I have. Keep it alive for as long as you can. I know the sport's dying, but I would like to listen to you. I like to listen to you daily to talk about it still. Beterbiev and Ward would be a good fight, but I don't know if he's stronger than Kovalev. I just think Kovalev skill set didn't know how to cut the ring off or whatever. As far as the Triple G, Billy Joe Saunders, I think that Triple G should fight Billy Joe Saunders right now. I don't like the whole shenanigans of the Canelo Alvarez. I believe that Triple G doesn't need Canelo Alvarez at all. I think Canelo needs him more. And to be quite honest with you, I think that, which I'm going to get to here in a minute, I still think that Canelo's in a tough fight. What do you think about Mike's email about Triple G and Billy Joe Saunders and the rest of it?
Well, exactly. I mean, we've heard a lot about the rhetoric and all that going on, and you know what? Get the Saunders fight, do it. Let Triple G take care of him, take care of business, and let's see where Canelo falls into play after he does fight. And he's got, like we said, he can't look past. He can't look past Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. And but you know what? They talk about the Billy Joe Saunders. Get it on. Let's get it over.
Exactly.
Let
him try to collect all the belts and go from there.
Exactly.
One last email. This one's from my man Mitch. He says a caller on your last show called Al Heyman the complete opposite of Don King. He says, I disagree. He's Don King 2.0, the bad king, that is. I understand why he said it. One guy talks and talks, and the other guy's silent. As great as King was as a promoter, he did a lot of guys dirty. Al Heyman will do the same. Gervonta Davis and Tevin Farmer got into a heated argument. First and foremost, I agree with Mitch to a degree about Al Heyman. Al Heyman has seemingly been successful in creating a persona that all he cares about is the good of the fighters. And I mentioned this the other day as a response to the email that Mitch is referring to, that at the end of the day, Al Heyman has not lost a penny. He spent that $500 million of hedge fund money. He didn't put a nickel of his own money in, but yet he's been pocketing his proceeds from his contracts and stuff like that with the fighters. So anybody that thinks Al Heyman is just trying to save the sport of boxing or just trying to be the right guy for the fighters is very, very wrong. But anyway, Mitch says Gervonta Davis and Tevin Farmer got into a heated argument at MGM last weekend. Davis got ugly with it. Floyd has this guy thinking he's invincible. Now he's going after Broner, who Floyd had discovered a couple of years ago, meaning Davis, and talked him into signing him. They had a Twitter argument, and Broner responded and basically said F you to Davis and F you to Floyd. Again, Adrian Broner to Mayweather, you're a biatch, goes off on Gervonta Davis and says he would F him up. Adrian Broner says, Mitch says Floyd won't take the chance to fight Manny again, but I certainly would love him to fight Adrian Broner. It's the most money that could be made outside of Floyd fighting Triple G. Sal, Floyd Mayweather against Adrian Broner, it does seem like they do have a past history of a love-hate relationship, and I think people would pay to see that. The question is would Floyd have the you-know-whats to fight anybody other than a pro debut Conor McGregor?
Like I said, the need or greed, those are two emotions that will factor in here. And Floyd doesn't need Broner, but maybe the greed, if the money's big enough, he'll say, yeah, let's do it. I see Floyd outboxing and avoiding those punches and probably winning that fight. And, I just don't know what Broner has, which Broner is going to show up. We know which Floyd Mayweather is going to show up because that's consistent.
Yeah, well, we might just see two guys staring at each other with their shoulders first. But anyway, some news to get you guys caught up on Trey Lippy Morrison, who was scheduled to fight in June, actually, at the Turning Stone Casino for the Hall of Fame weekend, broke his hand. And he's had to withdraw from that fight, which was also going to be on Showtime, I believe. Apparently, according to the doctor, Dr. Vinny Gumbats, that he's out for at least 3 months. He can't train. So we'll keep you posted on Tommy the Duke Morrison's son, Lippy Morrison, Trey Lippy Morrison. Some other news I wanted to bring everybody up on, and I know everybody's really on the edge of their seat for this one, Sal. But
I am.
The WBA. Now, let me explain something. I know people might be a little confused because the WBA Super Championship in the heavyweight division is on the line when Anthony Joshua fights Vladimir Klitschko. And you also may be confused because the WBA for the last 2 years now has been saying how they want to combine all of their titles and get rid of all these BS titles within their own sanctioning body. And they seemingly are not doing it because the nail-biter and much anticipated fight between Shannon Briggs, who just turned 67, and Frez Oquendo, who hasn't fought since 2014, maybe. Maybe he fought early 2015. I don't recall. Is actually going to be taking place for the WBA's regular world heavyweight title. It's taking place in, they finally got a date. It's June 3rd, and it's going to be taking place in Florida. How can these two guys, even the WBA, who has no scruples at all, Sal, how can these two guys, and we've known about this fight, it went to purse bid and everything else, so this isn't like a new announcement, but how can these two guys, pass go and collect the $200 and be awarded a shot at a vacant title after all the, explain to me, how? How?
I don't know. That's it. I mean, when is this fight scheduled?
June 3rd.
June 3rd. I'll tell you what. It's in Florida. What do you think? Road trip? I don't know.
No.
I don't know, Bill. I have no answer for that one, pal. But I think it's going to be. How do you sometimes say snooze fest? Or I don't see the big draw or the big attention.
I think it's more along these lines.
Go for it.
I thought Europe was a country. I don't know what they mean.
What show is this?
It's the Billy C. Blonde moment of the day.
I think it's like I think it's more along those lines. To be honest with you, I mean, come on now, Sal.
Come on now, forget about it.
Anyway, one last bit of news that I want to get people caught up on is Canelo Alvarez. Canelo Alvarez is trying to gain or regain some spotlight. Now, his fight coming up in May against Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., it's a pay-per-view, and Canelo is still looking past this fight and, warning Triple G not to take another fight, don't jeopardize the fight, blah, 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 blah. And like I said earlier, I think Triple G is in much better position for this fight than Saul Canelo Alvarez. I honestly believe that Triple G's in the driver's seat. In terms of who needs what. Obviously, Canelo's a bigger draw, but here's the thing: Canelo just said yesterday, I believe, that his goal in fighting Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. in May 6th in Vegas is to knock him out. He says, we're going for the knockout. I think this is a mistake. I keep saying, Sal, over and over and over, that this fight is not a layup fight for Canelo. And to suggest that he's going for the knockout only reiterates what I feel is the worst thing that Canelo can do. But since it's his weakness, he has no choice. In order to knock out Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., he's got to stand in front of Jr. because that's how he fights. He can't throw punches on the move. Plus, he doesn't put any power behind his punches. He doesn't get any power behind his punches on the move anyway. And by standing in front of Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., Sal, he's given Jr. an opportunity to do what he does best, and that's work the body and stuff. I don't see the more this fight is discussed and the closer it gets, I'm starting to, and I don't know what kind of shape Junior's in, but if Junior comes in top physical shape, Sal, I think Canelo might end up walking out of the ring that night saying, what happened?
Well, you make some valid points, very good points, and I share your thoughts and on that level because I think we don't know what Julio Cesar Chavez is really going to show up, and that's why we have a question. And I think he's more than capable of standing in the pocket, trading shots, and breaking down the body against many, many opponents, including Canelo Alvarez. And I think Canelo Alvarez standing in front, trying to take him out or something, whether it's a ploy, whether it's rhetoric, whether it's what he wants to do to try and create some immediate attention, I don't know. But I think that would be a mistake for him. And I think it's slated to be a very good fight. I'm looking forward to the fight. But by all means, it is not a layup for Canelo Alvarez. And he's going to have to really, really do a hell of a job to beat Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. Because I think Chavez Jr. is going to show up in shape, wanting to break him down. And that's why I think it's going to be a good time for both fighters to climb to the mountain and put it on the level and put it on the edge and see the best man win.
No doubt. And I'm telling you.
Make or break.
Junior's a live underdog. On this day,
yes,
April 12th in 1997, Raul Marquez knocks out Anthony Stevens in the 9th round to win the vacant IBF junior middleweight title, and that took place in Las Vegas. On this day in 1997, on the same card, Oscar De La Hoya wins a 12-round decision over Pernell Sweet Pea Whitaker to win the WBC World Welterweight title, and that took place in Vegas. On this day in 1981, Sean O'Grady, remember him?
Sean O'Grady.
Wins a 15-round decision over Hilmer
1912.
Kenty to win the WBA lightweight title. It took place in Atlantic City, New Jersey. On this day in 1981, former world heavyweight champion and boxing Hall of Famer Joe Louis dies in Las Vegas at the young age of 66. And the image of Joe Louis will forever be in my mind. The last public appearance he had, he was at a fight, I believe it was a Larry Holmes fight, and they had him ringside at Caesar's Palace, and he was in a wheelchair wearing a hat. And, I thought he was in his 80s or 90s. I mean, he looked terrible.
That's what I thought.
And when I found out years later, Sal, that he was 66, I'm like, oh, my God, this guy looked terrible. I mean, geez, that's your age now, and look how good you look.
Hey, easy.
But I was shocked that he was only 66. But hey, also on this day, April 12th in 1989, we lost another great fighter, and as far as I'm concerned, the greatest of all time. On this day in 1989, Sugar Ray Robinson, the best ever, truly the best ever, former world champion and boxing Hall of Famer. He died in California at the age of 68. So this day, April 12th, some sad news for some great fighters. Any final thoughts from you, Sal Rocky Senicola?
No, but I love your segment with Larry and Alex. I thought it was great. And, you guys were talking, and we definitely saw some great fights that we could analogize the Leonard Duran fight to the ones we were talking earlier about possibly with Kovalev and Ward. And remember when Leonard, I saw the first fight, and Roberto Duran, he just was manhandling him, and Leonard fought Duran's fight, that first fight, because he wanted to show his golions and everything else, whatever it took. And but sure enough, in that rematch, Leonard fought Leonard's fight, and he totally bewildered Duran into the infamous no mas situation. So can Andre Ward and Kovalev take a lesson from that fight? Well, I think already Andre Ward did his best to try to do his little. If you look at Kovalev as Duran and Andre Ward as Leonard, I don't think it was really that much of an analogy on that same level. But I think Andre Ward in this next fight will come out and he'll try to box and outpoint and move around the ring a little bit more. But Kovalev's got to learn how to cut off that ring and put the pressure on and not take the pedal off the metal. That's it.
There's no doubt, and I agree. I think that the pressure will be on Kovalev in that fight.
Yeah.
He's the one that's going to have to cut the ring off. and make it his fight. But anyway, make sure you guys tune in next time. Especially since we're gonna open up the phone lines, I guess we're gonna do that, but it's gonna be a little difficult. But make sure you tune in next time, same bat time, same bat channel. Until then, ciao, baby.